Salutations and welcome to the Manabar Video Game Podcast, episode 25 on October 9th, 2019.
Nice, you got it.
I'm your host, Andy Rose, and I'm joined here with Matt Samarco.
Hey, that's me.
And Party of the Dan.
That is me.
How you guys doing?
Me.
Doing good. How are you? God, I screwed it up.
Well, with Grud?
Yeah, that was not good at all.
He's Groot. He is Groot.
I thought you were ready. You were looking at us like we were going too slow, and then, you were all out the gate with Grud.
I suck.
Have either of you ever gotten a flu shot?
I did when I was
before.
a kid, but then I realized it was all a bunch of fools and lies, and unless you're a child or an
Elderly
person, it's pretty unnecessary.
Or if you're around other people with low immune systems,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be getting sick around them.
Yeah,
so
what I just said is objectively the wrong thing to say, but I'm saying it because I haven't gotten the flu in 20 years.
I've never gotten the flu, and I didn't start getting a flu shot until a few years ago, and I had one yesterday at noon. Between noon and 10:30, everything was sunshine and applesauce, no problems. I went to bed shaking so violently, it was like I was thrown into an Arctic tundra.
Well, that's what it is. It's like a broken version of the flu.
Yeah.
So like your body can learn to fight it, but it also means you also sort of get a mini flu.
Well, which didn't happen the other times I got the shot. So then I put on like a bunch of layers, and then in the middle of the morning, I woke up sweating bullets. Like it was like I was going through some sort of fever dream or withdrawal or something like that.
That doesn't sound great.
I don't think I'm going to get one ever again.
Yeah, I mean, like, the flu, for someone our age, it's not going to kill you. So either way I see it, like, it's just, you're rolling the dice. There's like a 1 in, 30 chance I'm going to get one. I haven't got one. Yeah, I haven't got one. I don't even know if I've ever got one. Maybe when I was a kid, but...
I've definitely faked it to get out of school, but that doesn't really count.
Don't hang out with friends that have the flu. Pro tip.
This is a video game podcast, right?
Well,
Just double checking.
Not a lot happened this week,
The listeners need to know how we're doing.
Okay. Just checking.
I had a rough night.
You had a rough night. Okay, I see that.
Dan, you sound better finally.
Yes, yeah, I have survived. And yes, the few years that I did not get the flu shot, I did not get the flu. And every year that I've gotten the flu shot, yes, I've gotten some sort of sick for a day or two. So I
like that one of our new podcast things can be giving the listeners bad advice. Like, don't get your flu shot.
Don't get your kids vaccinated.
Use your seatbelt. Yeah. This is lame.
Vaccinate your children. What does the guy on Price is Right always say? Make sure your pets. Make sure your pets are spayed and neutered.
I don't know how.
I don't think that's going to be our weekly.
No.
I don't really know where this is going anymore. Dan, what have you been playing?
You really off-railed that pretty quick.
Yeah, I did.
I feel like there was good banter prior to the neutering thing.
The need to bring in pet neutering for some reason.
My idea to kibosh the medicine talk.
Dan just wants more cats in the world than there already is.
More cats, yes, more cats. No, I have to be at the very end of Borderlands 3.
That game is longer than you think it is.
It's.
I remember I was like maybe 40% through the game, and I was like, I gotta be done with this any minute. And I was like, oh no, there's still more the entire game.
Oh no, this I'm definitely feeling. I'm at level 40 right now.
Okay, yeah, I think that's about where I.
And I've a lot of the side quests I've stopped caring because I feel like they only give me money now, and I have a shit ton of money, so I feel like it's not.
Well, they give you good XP. Like I feel like near the end of the game, I was a little bit over leveled because I literally did every side quest, which was probably helpful.
Oh yeah, no, I just did. I did some of the side ones, and then I just get to this one town, and they gave me 7 side quests. I'm like, all right, I'm not that interested anymore. I'm at the point where I just want to beat the game. Not because it's bad. It's just it happens with every open world game. I just get I want to know what happens to these annoying twins. So yeah, no, I've just been really, really pushing through, and I have to be within an hour or two max of beating this game.
Have you been playing? Did you notice they've been doing events every week? This is I think the second week, where the last week they had the bosses had a higher chance of dropping legendary loot, and this week I think there's a higher chance of rare spawn characters, and they're doing that every week, and then there's going to be a Halloween event too. Have you noticed anything in that?
That's interesting. In-campaign events. Normally you only see that with multiplayer games. That's very interesting.
It's kind of cool. I haven't been pulled enough to go back into it because I kind of did most everything I wanted to do. I mean, I'm going to probably hop in when they have the new mission or two for the Halloween event to see what that, because that's like a bigger change. But yeah, it's kind of cool that they're adding little differences every week.
I feel like this is a great thing that companies can do for single player games is put it. I mean, Days Gone just added not just added, but after the game came out, they constantly were adding content, and it was almost like new advertising for the game. So it's like, all right, I didn't get it. I'm not gonna buy it yet, but now it's like, all right, well, now there's New Game Plus, now there's Horde mode, now there's all these things they're adding for free, and it just kind of makes it keeps the game, I feel, alive. And I feel like Borderlands will have the season pass and will have a bunch of funny missions and stuff later, or like another planet or something that they'll get on. But
yeah, I really this game and this company gets a lot of crap, but I really like the way that they're like, all right, here's this fun open world game with loot, but you don't have to play it for the next 7 years. Like, it's not like Destiny where you got to put in tons of time to be able to get like all the max level stuff. They're like, here it is, you get fairly easily get all the fun stuff, and then there'll be like a new expansion in a couple months. Like, you don't get nickel and dimed into like anything. Like, you don't have to pay a monthly fee or anything, and then that's going to have hopefully big expansions coming up. Yeah,
and it doesn't feel like a grind. I don't know what level you are at, Andy, but it doesn't feel like every time I'm like, oh, I leveled up, oh, awesome, I want to put this here, and then I forget about it for like maybe I don't know, an hour or two, and I look down, I'm like, oh, I'm almost another level. It's never like, oh my god, when am I going to level up? It always just feels like it's constantly just going and going, compared to games like Assassin's Creed where it's like, oh my god, I have to get like 300,000 experience, and every time I kill someone, it's like 50 experience or something like that. It's like, all right, this is just obnoxious. Okay. And then everyone levels up with you, which I thought this was cool. I went back to Pandora at one point. I was like, I forgot to do this. There's like some bug or something, like after you kill him, he turns into this bulb or whatever, and you have to shoot that, and if you don't kill it in time, he grows back to like something else. I didn't kill him.
One of those like wild hunts you have to do?
Yeah, and I didn't kill him the first time, but I came back and like a single bullet killed him. And I was like, holy crap. But it felt like, all right,
so the enemies don't level
which
up with you. I thought you said they did, which I was going to retort with, I don't like that. I think that's dumb.
No, I think it's extremely dumb. Because it doesn't make you feel like you're advancing at all. And Assassin's Creed did that. So it'd be like, oh yeah, I just got this new weapon. And unless, of course, it deals like, fire damage or something that's a bonus on top of what you're doing, it just feels like you're stagnating. You're just kind of, oh yeah, I'm always going to do this amount of damage.
Yeah, it's really
every
cool.
time.
And then once you beat the game and you do like either there's a true Vault Hunter mode, or you can add the like mayhem levels, that'll actually scale it to your level. So it's not like all of that content is just you can never play it again because you're way too high level. There's ways that they can kind of add it back into the mix, which is nice.
And the other thing I'm loving about the game too is like I've had one assault rifle. It's like an Atlas weapon. It does like estimated like 152 damage times 2. And boy, I've had it since I was like level 29 or something, and it is still awesome. And it's only like item score like 353, but it's working better than half the other weapons I have. So I'm like, holy crap, I'm gonna stick with this. It just seems like it doesn't do any like special like fire damage or anything like that, or what does it have, like random like electrocution every like 1 out of 4 shots or something like that. Just constant, like, just blows through all types of enemies, whether it's, beast, robot, whatever the hell it was. I just couldn't believe how it's still working better than some of the drops I'm getting now. But
yeah, some of the drops are like really bad, and then some of them are just, like you said, you can just kind of keep going for like 10 or 20 levels after you get them, which is kind of cool because it's like, wow, you got this super powerful gun that's been useful for not just like 5 minutes until you level up.
Exactly. That's how I felt bad, because I remember Borderlands 2, they were like, oh, here's the pre-order of the Gearbox like weapons, and it was like 4 types of weapons that all had the Gearbox like skin on it, so it had like the logo. Literally 10 minutes into the game, you find something a lot better. So it's like, what the hell was the point? So I like this one where they actually had the what's it called, the skins. So you kept it so you could add it to your weapon later. So like all my weapons are like the gold weapons because of the deluxe edition I got. But no, I by next week I'll be another game that'll be hopefully beaten. Then I can put my full attention on Greedfall, which I've been wanting to play, but I've been just so focused on Borderlands. Thanks to Andy making fun of me and always saying I don't beat games. So I keep thinking of you I'm like, I'm gonna
No,
beat
it's not
this.
as. No, I didn't say you don't beat games. I said that you keep buying
Yes,
games.
but you
and
made a
then
good point.
Play them for like
you did-
5 minutes.
Well, just
and
like you
then-
did with Kingdom Hearts. You're like, if you're not having fun, don't play it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm not beating these damn games. Andy's got a point. Let's beat it. And well, not only that, it gives me something to talk about. Like, did I actually enjoy the game? I can't say if I enjoyed the game if I only played 1/5 of it.
Yeah.
So at this point,
So have you been strictly just Borderlands
yeah,
past week?
been
Oh,
really
wow.
just pushing towards
Nice.
Borderlands. So
I've been strictly not Borderlands for the
Really?
past week. Well, I did.
You fell off.
I'm excited to hear what you two have been playing. I've been playing boring. I've been the
You're gonna
boring
be
one.
disappointed.
I did spend. You're going to be excited with mine.
Ooh, I bet.
MLB? You get into that PS
Ooh,
Plus?
ouch.
Well, I didn't feel like spending a lot of money, so I got MLB 17. I just like went way back in time. I
18
got it
is
for like
free.
I got it for like 2. Is it really?
Yeah, it's
month?
the free game of the month.
Yeah.
It's 18 or 19.
That's why I
whatever the
traded
newer
in the other one
Oh,
because
that's
I was
right.
like, I'm only going to play it for another month.
Yeah.
So-
So I was at New York Comic Con Friday. I was in New York Thursday afternoon through Sunday afternoon. I was at New York Comic Con Friday and Saturday. So, that's less time that I was able to play games over the past like couple days, or the past week.
Getting your con on.
New York Comic Con had a lot more video game stuff there than I thought they would, and just because of circumstances, I really wasn't able to try anything. They made a huge push for the Dragon Ball Z RPG that they're doing. They had huge display.
Oh, isn't that just
and-
called Kakarot?
Yeah, it's Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and they gave you a dragon radar. And I don't know if either of you have
Is that a
watched.
game or a
Yeah, it's a
show?
game.
Okay.
It's an RPG that's coming out, and I don't know if either of you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, but you'd have a dragon radar. You could find Dragon Balls, and they were giving them out to people, and they could go around and find all the Dragon Balls in the area, and they would like get
That's
like a free
nifty. Neat idea.
prize.
It's a great marketing.
The Resident
Campaign
Evil
for
game, whatever that new one coming out
Resistance.
is, Resistance was there. I didn't
Ugh.
get to try it, nor did
I want to see more, but
want to
I'm,
try it.
yeah, I don't know.
This I haven't looked up who the developer is yet, but I'm almost certain it's the same developer who made Dragon Ball Fighters or Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I don't really know how you pronounce it. They really excel at making video game footage look like it's animated, like traditional animated. And it was this game called Epic 7. It's like a kind of like a turn style RPG, but with very like cinematic animated like cutscenes and fight scenes, but it's all like in game. It's really crazy. So it was really cool. Seeing all the video game stuff around there. One thing it did allow me to do is I brought a lot of handhelds with me. I brought my Switch, my 3DS, and my Game Boy Advance SP with me.
It's too much.
There's like the
You don't need
the
that
the,
much.
the
I know,
Nintendo
I know.
gunslinger over here.
I did. I was playing a lot of my Game Boy Advance because I got back into the Minish Cap trying to finish that game. Which I'm not going to talk about right now. I'm going to talk about that later on our other segment. And then the other game I've been playing a lot of over the past few days is A Plague's Tale. I'm right at the tail end of the game. I'm at chapter 15.
Sorry.
Is it longer than I think it
No,
is?
just Plague's Tale. You're at the tail end.
Oh yeah, I was.
Sorry, I tried.
So the funny thing is, before the podcast, I was thinking about making a joke about that, and I'm like, no, that sounds so stupid.
Dan will take care of that.
Yeah, Dan's got my back.
Having an off day.
So no, I'm really enjoying that. The surprising thing about that game is every time I want to stop playing, like there's certain moments in the game where it's just like, I don't know if I'm really enjoying this. It's getting a little repetitive. They just throw something at me where I'm like, okay, this story has me again. I'm gonna keep going, or something different happens in the game. I die a lot. I die quite often in the game, usually by something like
Not
really
the rats.
silly.
Is it by the rats or is it by the friggin' human people?
The humans.
Yeah, they
normally.
suck.
But
like, oh my
there
God,
are
they
certain
suck.
times where it's like I'm in the lantern and I just like back up like one step too far.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, rats. It's like, well, like I was never dying. I was always dying because I was trying to do something like really risky. Like, oh, I wonder if I can make it over here
Yeah,
by
it's an
doing
experimental
this.
game.
So I would die a lot through that. But like, no, the human deaths were just like straight up. Like it got to the point where I would throw rocks at like a bin of metal things, and instead of them going over to the bin of metal things like they're supposed to, they just come directly
Right to
at
the
me.
source.
It's like, well,
Yeah.
what's the point of me trying to do this secretly? So eventually I just ended up saying, screw it, not doing this secret BS anymore. I'm just going to attack them directly. Get their helmet off, whack him in the head with a rock, you're done.
Yeah, it is one of those games where you have to experiment because, if you see a bunch of rats in front of you, you're like, all right, I'm going to light this, but a lot of them, they only light temporarily.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, if I light that, I'm going to run up to that, and it's like, all right, I'm going to, oh, crap, where do I go next? Up, the light ran out, I'm dead.
Yeah, and there were a few very interesting ways they had me solve puzzles in the game, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, I figured the puzzles will be right up your alley because they actually, I thought it was going to get very boring. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna shut off this light and the rats are just gonna eat them. Like, okay, I don't know how. And then just as they kept going, they kept adding and mixing things together. Like, okay, I gotta shut this off, but I got another guy I gotta worry about.
Yeah,
and I gotta get away from him. And they just did a really good job of keep adding just little things to the puzzle that made it so you had to use all different mechanics rather than just one. So I think they did a fantastic job with that, on top of the story being really, really interesting.
Yeah, and some of the it wasn't the goriness of the game that surprised me, but just like some of the things that happened in the game did like really make me like gasp, like, oh wow, the character really just did that. The character has to make some really hard choices, and she does them pretty nonchalantly throughout the game. Unlike, different people she decides to just kind of kill or let get mauled by rats simply to, save. It's about survival, saving herself and her brother.
Yep.
So, but no, I'm right at the tail end. I'm probably at the last chapter, if not the last few. I would say. I don't remember. Do you remember how many chapters there were? Chapter 15.
Oh yeah, you're.
I feel like that's right at the end.
I feel like it's 16.
All right, so
yeah, you're
there
right.
You go. And the chapters are pretty short too, like shorter than I thought. But
they move quick. It's almost like an episode game. It's really good.
Minish Cap, I'm still really enjoying. Obviously, that's more of a quest because I'm trying to beat every Zelda game in like a continuity order. I have beaten Minish Cap before though, so that's like nothing new.
What's the game after Minish Cap?
Ocarina of Time.
Ooh, all right.
Which of course I've played through that like 10 times now. So I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time doing every little side thing again. Like, I'm not going to go around and try to get all the skull tools. I say that now, but then I'm going to end up doing that. Because I'm just like Matt. I tried to do like every little thing. That's why it took me so long to do a Plague's Tale, is because I kept like trying to explore all the little nooks and crannies, even though a lot of the nooks and crannies
linear
in the
game too.
Yeah, but I kept finding chests. And I kept finding different things to upgrade my weapons every time I searched for like a little corner. But then there was like a large amount of areas where it's just like, oh, there's nothing there.
Yeah, okay. I feel like it's just like The Last of Us.
Well, yeah, it's very much like it in almost every way.
Yeah.
What have you been playing, Matt? You said we were going to be disappointed.
Dan's going to be disappointed.
Oh, you didn't play Control.
I tried to play. I played a few more hours of Control, and I just kind of got to the point where I was like, I'm not into this game, and I don't understand what everyone loves about this game.
You specifically said you thought it was bad.
Yeah, maybe it's a bad game. That's true.
I was gonna say, I didn't think it was a bad game. Is it the story that's just so great? I mean, the story is what confused the hell out of me. But
you're in a building and like this, it's just these people talk to you. It feels nonsensically like that. It's purposely vague where you're not supposed to know what's going on, which like I guess is cool for some people. And maybe if I played it all the way through, it like would connect the dots, and I'd be like, oh, that's cool. But I just like they didn't give me anything to like. Any kind of strings to pull on at all. It was all just like complete nonsense. And every room you would go into, there would be like 2 or 3 like pieces of paper with. I talked about this last week. There'd be like pieces of paper with writing on it, and none of that meant anything. So at some point, I was just like, all right, I'm skipping most of this. Like I can't read all of these things in every room. And then like we've been talking a lot about like map problems and UI in games, and I feel like it's the map in this game is also like just like Borderlands. It's like super confusing.
It is. And
it's like this 3D, but it's also flat. So it's like 3D in that you're seeing a bunch of floors at once. So you're not sure if you're on the floor that connects to the left wing that you need to get to. And so far, it's just been like, okay, get from this side of the map to this side of the map, but you have no idea how to get there because you can't even like really read the map well. You just have to hope that you're on the right floor. It's very confusing.
The map was very, yes, I completely agree. Like, I'd be like, not only that, it looks like you'd go one way, on the map, and then it's like, oh, I need to go up to the left, and then you got to go over. So from a, bird's eye perspective, it looks like you just walk straight there, but you actually have to go to the left, you have to go over, you have to go to a different room, then you have to go down the hallway. So, yes, I didn't mind because I love the traversing, and like especially, did you get the ability to float?
No.
Oh, when you get the ability to float later, like you can just like
Well, you can. I got the ability to like kind of maybe it's called floating. It's like I can jump in the air, kind of like teleport a little bit. Like
oh
20,
no,
20
this one you
yards.
actually can float. So you
Okay, I
you,
didn't get
you
that.
press it like twice, and she floats for a few seconds, maybe like 5 seconds. But it makes it so that you can jump off any height because you can wait and you double tap it and she'll float. So like if you jump off like a 3 or 4 story ledge or something, you just double tap it right before you hit the ground. She floats.
I'm getting a little worried. Now I don't know whether or not I'm going to like this game or not. I got one person telling me he really enjoyed it, another person telling me it was god-awful.
And you'll get to like a room and there'll be little puzzles that'll be like, hey, you got to fix these generators. So you go into this room and there's these generators there and you're like, okay, what do? I don't see anything wrong with the generators. I walk up to them and there's like no like press X to fix, or like there's no like sparkling like, oh, there's something there, this wire's loose or something. But what you got to do is like in some cases you have to throw these generators like power cubes at them, but it doesn't really show you that you're supposed to do that at all. So I was just walking around the area for like 30 minutes like I don't understand.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. It took me a little while to figure. I was like, what? I just saw that the little square, they're like square yellow, like they almost look like AC units.
Yes,
and you pick it up and you throw it at it, and somehow it locks in.
And then there's there's upgrades for your weapons, and I understand that you can go to those little like save points and buy better weapons and upgrade some things. But then it says like you need to upgrade this to get to the next rank, and it doesn't explain how you get to that like those 2 upgrades that are in every, I think it's item or upgrade. It doesn't make it's not, I don't know.
You basically
it's just
upgrade the weapon to allow an extra additional skill slot for that weapon. So there's 3 for each one. You have to go in. I forget what they call it, but you basically upgrade the weapon. It starts out with no mods, I believe. You're not even allowed to have one. Then you upgrade, and there's 3 different ones. But you have to go into that first. I forget what it says, but it's like upgrade, like schematic or something. It says something along those lines. But that's where you basically upgrade just the weapon to get an additional slot. Well, a lot of it was tinkering and kind of figuring out like, oh, okay, this is what it meant. I also had to restart the game when I was an hour in. So because the story is. They usually like some stories kind of leave you in the dark on purpose, which is what this game is definitely trying to do at the beginning. But I mean, I feel like even when I was 3/4 into the game, I was like, what the hell is going on? I have no idea where this is going to go. At the very end, I understood, and I was like, okay,
Matt,
I get it.
You are going to love Death Stranding.
I don't know about that. And do you remember like one of the first things you do is not very first, but maybe a couple hours in, you go to like a hotel briefly. Yep. You like kind of
you pull the string 3 times.
Yeah. You have to pull a string to like change a light, and you like get teleported to this hotel, and it's like solve the hotel puzzle basically.
Yep.
And it's just like a counter, like a front desk, and a bunch of rooms.
The bell and the doors open.
Yeah, and you ring the bell, and it took me like 30 minutes to figure that out because I would ring the bell and it'd be like ding, and I thought it was like, oh, this is cool. Like you can ring the bell and it actually rings. But that's like you actually need to ring it multiple times, and it like does things to the game.
Yeah,
so I was just walking around like, okay, I've searched this room. There's nothing in it. I've searched the center area. There's nothing in it. Like I don't know what you want me to do, game. You want me to like arbitrarily hit this bell, which does nothing but make a ding sound, and then it actually does other things that you're not realizing it does. So it's like, I don't know the rules, game.
Sounds like
I need the rules.
Causing you to waste a lot of time, which is never fun.
Yeah, that's my problem because I like to kind of chew through games, but when I'm just sitting there not making any progress, I mean, I don't mind. I actually enjoy puzzles. I like figuring things out, but like
it's not even a puzzle.
Yeah,
it's more just like a
lack
gimmick.
of direction.
Yeah,
well, I found it out by an accident. I was just I was like, all right, if I press this bell, obviously there's got to be like people or video game companies or developers, I should say, usually don't put something in a game unless it's like an Easter egg.
The game's so detailed. I thought they were just being detailed. Like,
yeah, so I just thought like, all right, they put the bell here. And I mean, they animated it like that she's touching the bell and everything. And I was like, there's got to be something that this bell does. So,
but you don't even hear like a door close or anything like that. It's just you hear a bell.
So you have to. Right, so I kind of angled it down each hallway, and I was like, all right, I didn't do anything with this one. Oh, it's the opening each door. Oh, okay. So, I mean, did you play Alan Wake?
Not really. I played it for like 20 minutes.
I feel like that's another thing that I had an advantage, like, and kind of knew what they were looking for. Because if you play Alan Wake, it's very similar. where they're like, "What?" You're like, "What the hell are they looking for?" And,
Yeah.
and then you realize, "Oh, okay, I get it." I don't know. I had like I said, I really enjoyed the combat. There was a few boss battles in that game. Besides ruining it with music with lyrics, which I thought was really stupid. Other than that, like the boss fight was absolutely like fantastic. It's one of the best boss fights I've had in a long, long time. I was like, holy crap, this is actually really cool.
The combat was decent, but sometimes I feel like I would just die, like not unfairly, but it would just be like all of a sudden I would lose a ton of health, and then you kind of have to get put back sometimes pretty far where you have to just kind of go through a bunch of mobs and fighting again. And it's like,
oh, I've had there's one mini boss that you find, and I'm pretty sure I fought him about 15 times, and he's not even difficult. It was just because of like you fight on some platform, and he throws something at you, and then if he misses you, it hits the platform, and it creates a hole in the platform. And again, when you're looking at him and fighting him, you're backpedaling. You can't see what's behind you. You'll fall through the crack. So at one point, I had like 5 hits to go on him, and then I fell through a crack. I almost chucked the freaking controller across the room.
That part doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Anyway, but no, I enjoyed the hell out of the combat. Maybe because I could be biased. I love third person, shooters. And I love the fact that it was kind of a chaotic like third person shooter. It kind of felt like Doom, where you're never supposed to or Doom where you're just like chaotic running around. There's no rhyme or reason.
Well, that's one of the next games I'm playing, so I guess I'll have to be the tiebreaker between the two of you and
not Doom. Control. Yeah.
you can't play Doom for a while.
Yeah, Doom Eternal at least.
I still have to play the first one.
Well, that gives Andy a little bit of time to beat the first one. So,
by the way, coming from the person who earlier in the podcast out loud said, I thought we were talking about a video game podcast here. In the middle of Matt talking, swipes his phone over to me to show me, of all things, a freaking baseball score on some baseball game I legitimately could not care less about. I thought like, oh, did something happen, like video game news or something? Oh, there's a ball-based game.
We were talking about baseball, and I just thought it was funny that it's a playoff game and they're getting demolished. Anyway, it was just, but I didn't say anything. I just kind of thought, okay.
No, now I'm saying something.
Of course you are. Yes,
I was talking.
Yeah, Matt was talking.
I was listening.
Dare you?
Anything that could have come out of Matt's mouth was more important than that score.
The score's kind of important.
No,
it was funny. Anyway,
yeah.
Are you done with it?
I think I'm done with it. I don't think I'm going to play it anymore.
Okay.
I just stopped having fun.
Okay.
And then I went on for another hour or two and said I'm still not having fun.
Yeah,
well,
if you're
don't
not
sell it.
having
It's
fun.
fine. Just wait.
back.
It's on eBay, Dan. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I'm surprised. I figured you. I mean, it's kind of funny that I'm shocked that the hotel thing stumped you a little bit. I figured you would have been like, got it, like. I don't know. Especially
I can't tell if that's him calling you stupid
no,
or him saying
I'm not. See, believe me, for the last 3 minutes when I wanted to say this, I was like, how can I say it that without... I'm saying...
There's no way to not call Matt an idiot. I'm just going to go for it.
I'm just surprised. I figured that you would have
Saucy
no
podcast
issue.
today.
Yeah. No, I just figured that was... Like, I surprisingly didn't get stumped by that, but again, I might have, because I've played Alan Wake.
Well,
but I mean, what frustrated me, that's what frustrates me in these kind of games, is when you figure it out, it's not like, oh man, that's what it is. Or like, I can't believe I figured it out. It's like, that is so stupid. And there's no like logical way that you would like deduce that if you were trying to figure out a puzzle. It's just
you guys have made it super easy for me. You just explained like how to accomplish 3 of the hardest things in the game.
Well, I mean, this is pretty early on, and I'm pretty sure it's not meant to be like a puzzle. It's just
it's just kind of
just something that you do that they don't explain.
Yeah,
so then
now
it
I don't
becomes
have
a
to
puzzle.
try as hard. It's like I had a player's guide. It's great.
So anyway, besides that, I've been playing. The only other thing I've been playing a lot of, World of Warcraft. And and Mario Kart Tour, which is I'm having more fun with it than I thought I would. So they do like a tour every 2 weeks. So the new tour, the second tour just started. They finished up New York and now they have the Tokyo tour. So there's like they actually mix up the levels a lot, where the new cups have like a bunch of levels that are designed for like Tokyo, and they added in levels that they didn't have, like Peach's Castle. So they're really keeping it fresh. And then they also added like double the amount of characters and gliders and carts that you can get from their little gacha pull system, which is kind of disheartening because it's kind of going to be impossible to keep up at this point, just because there's way more than you can actually like get by unless you pay hundreds of dollars. They actually added like all of the Koopa kids for some reason, like I don't know, at least 6 of them.
Yeah, they were in the past couple Mario Karts too.
Yeah, but it's just I thought they were going to trickle in, like, because they do these little tours every 2 weeks. I thought they would have maybe 2 or 4 every 2 weeks, but they're like, here's 24 more things you can collect. Good luck affording it. So it's kind of a bummer that even with the Gold Pass $5 subscription, you're not getting nearly like most of what the characters are and that are better for the this new tour. So
I just have absolutely no drive to even like download that game just to try it.
I mean, it's worth trying for free. It's like if you like Mario Kart, it's just like it's pretty quick. You can play the matches in like 2 minutes or less. They're 2 laps and they're pretty quick. A lot of the maps are the ones that from some of the older games. Like they have the DS maps and the GameCube. Like they have a bunch of ones that you'll definitely be familiar with.
Mario Kart
cool.
DS, sneaky favorite Mario Kart. That one was a lot of fun, especially like playing locally with my friends.
Yeah, so that's fun, and I've been playing. I've still been playing Call of Duty Mobile. It's surprisingly good for a mobile first-person shooter, but it's still not like amazing. So,
is it pushing you towards the getting the new one?
No, not really.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're bored and you like Battle Royale, it's a good way to spend 20 minutes if you're just like waiting for.
It's a Battle Royale?
There's a multiplayer. There's like a regular multiplayer. There's a battle royale. And there's going to be a zombie mode coming at some point. But for now, it's just the multiplayer and battle royale that they have, like deathmatch But yeah, I think that's all.
Cool. So before we move on to the other things we need to talk about today, we got an email from Mike. He didn't say. The subject of the email was simply "the" with a question mark. So I guess that would be the. What's the issue around the word the? Yeah. Andy's drama over the podcast titling and the word the is the number one thing I need to know. So what's up with that? The, whatever. Continue to love the show. Keep doing your thing. Hugs and kisses, Mike with a heart. It's Wilkie. Okay.
I don't understand. Do you have a problem with the word the?
No. I think he's talking about the fact that our Instagram is at the Manabar Podcast and the Twitter is just Manabar Podcast, and it's more just because I don't know which one of you it was. Whoever set up the original Instagram account that was just Manabar Podcast set it up as like a business account, and we were locked out of it pretty quickly.
That was you.
I'm pretty sure it's Matt.
I didn't set up our Instagram.
You said when we started the podcast that you set up a bunch of random accounts just so we could get the name taken care of everywhere.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever signed up for an Instagram.
I thought you did because I thought you set it up and you said you called and you had to, fix something.
Yeah, that was after Matt did his thing. That was to fix the situation.
Well, definitely. I was gonna say
Well, anyways, one of you did it. It wasn't me. Anyways, so it was signed up as a business account. And I had to go through all this rigmarole to cancel the account completely. And I thought the username was going to be available eventually. So in the meantime, I had the Instagram I made through my own Facebook account as the Manabar Podcast. And it's just, I've been waiting to take out but I just checked today. The. I just checked today and it is still not available. So I think the Instagram will forever be the Manabar Podcast instead of just Manabar Podcast. So unless he's talking about something else, I don't have an issue with the word. It's a fine word.
It's a fine word.
It's a fine English language word.
Gets me from one place to the next.
I use it quite often.
In a sentence.
Yeah. So Dan.
Me.
Do you want to take this opportunity?
Absolutely.
To go on a rant?
I do.
About
what? We have a rant section?
Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
If I don't give him a platform, he's just going to rant about something random like Hideo Kojima again.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That is so not true.
Did you play Breakpoint?
Nope.
Okay. That's why I'm confused, but...
no, because I was extremely happy.
It's less of a rant and more just
I was just absolutely thrilled.
For some reason.
I was just absolutely thrilled to see that it is an abysmal game. So this is what they get for making a game that's...
Describe what you mean by abysmal, Dan.
First of all, it's broken. The AI is really dumb. I've watched a ton of reviews, and it's all about, it's like money hungry, like you can buy anything in the game, anything, every single weapon. You can buy
your
skill
talent
points
trees and stuff.
Yeah, and then Ubisoft came out and said, "Oh, whoops, that was an accident. We didn't mean to do that." On top of that, it's supposed to be a game where like you crash on this like this island or something that's like made by these like super soldiers or whatever. And
it's like a libertarian company.
Yeah,
like
and then apparently when you're in your hub, there's like a bunch of like the random people from online that are in your hub. It's like, well, you're killing the idea that you're alone. And the reason should have been a single player.
It's because you got to get jealous of that guy's gun next to you and
yeah, but it's again, you're killing the immersion that you're supposed to be a soldier that's like outgunned, outmanned, and you're by yourself, and then there you are in the hub, running around with like a bunch of people, just like you are in like the Division or what's it called? What's the Bungie one? Destiny. One of those like big MMOs. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
there's no reason to make this online only to peddle what's it called? All the microtransactions and the grinding and just everything. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So I was thrilled to see that this game is getting butchered online. They're getting like brutally just sabotaged.
Looks like your birthday present came early this year.
So I was very thrilled to see them get their ass kicked, and I hope people are voting with their wallet, not buying this piece of crap.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of am like just because like I was kind of bummed too. I was actually excited about this game before it was coming out like a few months ago. Like I really enjoy the way Ubisoft makes these big open world games, and it seems like every time they do it, they're kind of perfecting their formula, and they've been getting better. Like the Division 2 was a lot better than Division 1. The new Assassin's Creed games I think are better than any that they've ever had. Watch Dogs has been a blast. I'm looking forward to the third one. So I played Wildlands briefly like after it came out, and I was like, oh man, it'd be nice to get in on the ground floor and actually like play this a bunch. And then I played the alpha, and I like a lot of the things that you pointed out. I was like, this game is janky. The enemies are kind of just like all over the place. There's like glitches. I don't really know, the UI is messed up. There's way too much going on, but like actually still nothing going on. And then I played the beta, and I kind of had the same problem. So that was where I was like, all right, I guess I'm not going to buy this game. I'll have to wait and see if maybe the final game is kind of cleaned up, and then it comes out and it's still not cleaned up and it's still a disaster. So it's like, all right, maybe I'll get this like next year when it's $15 or something.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty happy that you two weren't getting this game, because I felt like the only reason I was going to get it in the first place is just because I was being almost forced to. Just because, like, the original idea was like, oh, the three of us could play co-op, that would be fun.
That would have been
like,
fun. If
the,
it was
the
fun
thought
game.
of playing it to me was just like, oh, this is going to be so boring. I'm not going to enjoy this game at all. So Dan was out pretty quickly because of the online only thing, and then you hated it because of the alpha. I'm like, oh, good, home free.
You just
I don't have to do anything.
You save yourself.
Which is funny because the beta, like I think you could get into the beta for pretty easily, like if you just pre-order or something. So I wonder how many people just like me played the beta and were like, I'm gonna cancel my pre-order. Like it wasn't really redeeming at all. Like I wonder if that actually ended up hurting their sales to let people play this game early.
When did it come out?
Came out like
I think
October 3rd ish.
Yeah,
like, depending on what version
so
you got.
I'm sure we'll hear in a few weeks how the sales went.
Yeah, like if you got the big better version, you got it like the $100 version. I think you got it 3 days early.
Not only that, I feel like these games that do, especially Ubisoft, starting to do it, where it's like, oh, if you get the Gold Ultimate Edition, you play it 4 days early.
Yeah,
and for games that they're not good, that I feel like that's gonna hurt them, because all those people, I mean, they would have. I would have been interested had, like I said, it not been buggy, had it been offline. Well, of course, number one was offline. But
yeah,
if
I feel like you would put up with everything else if it was offline.
Yeah, I was excited about trying that like Uplay Plus, and I was gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna get this for $15 this month on the PC, and I'll play it, and maybe at the end I'll be done and get $100 worth of game for $15. But even then, I was like, that's not worth $15. Well,
the one thing I fear about Ubisoft games is they're known as like grindy. That's the one reason I'm excited for Watch Dogs 3 is like, how can they make that grindy when there's just so many characters that you can like build with like your group. I guess you can have like 5 people in like a squad. So like
Granny Squad.
Yeah, Granny Squad. And that one, and like I said, that one I think is going to be there. Like I think in a few months they're going to be like, you know what? screw it, screw this game. We're gonna go full-fledged ahead with Watch Dogs and almost like forget Ghost Recon, kind of like Fallout 76 did with with Bethesda did with Fallout 76. After 3 months, you never heard a thing about it.
it's still. Just this past E3, they announced like the whole. They're still doing stuff with that game. I don't know how many people are playing 76, but they're still trying to support it. I think it's a lot more close to what they did with Anthem, because like,
oh my god,
Anthem's entire roadmap was killed.
I feel
I would love to see the popularity, like how many people are actually playing.
Well, I would
Anthem
also
at this point.
I would also like to know, because I understand the idea behind making an MMO where you're constantly getting players to stay in it, and leveling up and that. But I wonder just how expensive it is, and over the lifetime of a game, especially an MMO, are they really making money off this game when maybe you have. I don't know how many people buy. Let's say Ghost Recon. Let's say 2 million people, are buying it, are playing it for the first month. Don't you think, especially nowadays with all these games pumping out, especially the holidays, that they're going to lose especially with Call of Duty. It's a military shooter. You're going to pull a lot of people from Ghost Recon. Is it really that? Is it really that monetarily? Motivating to keep a game like Ghost Recon going for, I don't know how long these games want to last, but Fallout 76 says they want to last 10 years or something.
I feel like that was their original plan. Look how buggy and poorly put together both those games ended up being. They probably were trying to just make a game on the cheap for as quickly as possible, and then trying to gain as much money from it as they could.
And that's why I feel like making them online only is not beneficial for them. It's just, I think it just hurts them, because at that point people are gone from it.
Well, you have games
and then
where,
you gotta.
Destiny 2 has been going on for a couple of years now, and it seems like that's getting more and more popular. Almost like people are still playing it and buying the new expansions. So it's working out for them. I feel like if you can get if you
get that
they'll stick
lock,
around.
Yeah, if you get that lock, but on top of that, it's not like they have one. It's not like just the Division. I feel like if they stuck with the Division, because I feel like it's too close to the Division. To
it's
make an
definitely
MMO.
much more like the Division than
they do not need two co-op multiplayer
when
shooters.
They're that close, of a game. They're both military type shooters. One takes place in a foreign country, and the other one takes place in a city. But other than that, I figured you have the Destiny, but the kind of sci-fi first person MMO, and then you have the military of the Division. Do you really need, another
problem is there's so many of these games that more than ever, they require so much of our time, and that they kind of just have to hope and pray that it hits, because if you don't have a ton of people playing your battle royale game, there's going to be no matches, and it's going to just instantly fall apart. So it's okay, it'll work for World of Warcraft, but then how many MMOs collapsed trying to chase World of Warcraft? Same thing with Destiny. How many of these, it's only really, a small percentage that people will play for 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and then all these other games just get ravaged with no sales, or just huge drop off, like Anthem or something like that.
Well, on top of that, I feel because I keep hearing when they make an MMO that they're all right, we're leaving the bare bones team on here, and then we're taking everyone else and moving on to the next project. And I just feel you're losing some of your team to work on this game that's limited, and it's probably not going to gain any more followers. It's just going to lose. And on top of that, it's not going to make, I feel like after a certain point, it's not going to make a lot of money. People are going to move on, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think it's good business practice for console developers to keep trying to make these MMO services. There've been so many that have just failed out of the gate over the past couple of years. Destiny 2 at least was polished, I would say, when it came out.
Yeah, and imagine it's a lot.
I heard a lot of issues with Destiny 2 when it first came out. People said it was kind of bare bones too, and then now it's expanded. But I think it's that Bungie name that really.
Well, also they split from Activision.
Yeah, but they have the funding, they have the push to do it. But on top of that, I also feel in a year with a single player game, oh my god, what's the one you're playing right now?
A Plague Tale?
Plague Tale. What the game is now, you're not expecting any more updates. That's
No.
it. You're done. So at that point, this is the project. They're done with it. They can move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And for people that are getting into it in a year, they don't have to, like, if someone's like, oh, this game isn't whatever, you need to add this. Well, you need to be realistic now. It's a year past the game. They don't need to add anymore. That's it. They're done.
Which
They
is
can
why
move on.
I don't really end up getting into any of those types of games. Like, I didn't get into Destiny. It didn't grab a hold of me in any way, shape, or form. Anthem, I wanted nothing to do with that. Like,
Yeah, I usually get into them and I have a blast for like the first month, and then I'll fall off because something new will come out, or like I'll get to the end of the content, and then they'll add more stuff, and at that point I'll be like, I'm so far behind that I don't want to like jump back into it and not know how to like relearn the whole system, but at level like max level, which makes no sense, and I'm not in a guild anymore because they've like everyone else stopped playing, so I feel like that's the hardest hurdle for me is like re-onboarding. Like Destiny 2, I guess this new expansion, like it's pretty interesting, but I don't want to. Last time I tried to turn that game on, there was way too much going on that I didn't understand. Like they need to find a better way to kind of ease people into it, like at a high level. Like World of Warcraft does that thing where I think you can pay for like a max character boost. There should be some way that you can do that more easily for like without having to pay extra, just to kind of like get you caught up so that you can at least play with your friends. Like, not in the first few months, but, after the fact, if it's been out for 6 months or more.
now remember you telling me that Destiny 2 was going to be like your game for like the next 5 years. Like, you were really expecting that to be like
Yeah, and
your
I did
go-to for a very long time.
I did the raid, and I did it a bunch of times. It was fun. I got all like this max level gear, but then it's like, all right, there's literally nothing. And there was a big long drought of like, I don't know, maybe 9 months to a year where they had these little tiny expansions that were just bad. That's where I kind of fell off. Was the first. Like they had that first season pass, which is the 2 mini expansions, and the first one was just bad, and I guess the second one was bad too. But then they finally released like a bigger expansion, which was supposed to be good.
Yeah.
So.
Moving on to something a little less more depressing, I guess.
A little less more depressing?
A little less depressing.
Okay.
No more. Redacted. Retconned. Big news this week regarding the PS5, which, surprise, surprise, it's officially announced
That was
as
exciting.
the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So just
good.
to go over some of the key things that were in this article. A lot
Wired
of these
again, getting that Cerny interview.
Yeah, I know. Our best friend Mark Carney back for another interview. So no surprise here. Holiday 2020 release. I'm pretty sure that's what everybody in their
Yeah, I mean, I could bet so
figured.
much money that I could have bet it's going to be November. Like,
a lot of information about the controller. It's going to have haptic feedback.
I'm excited about that.
Adaptive triggers, USB-C charging, which isn't a surprise. It's going to be heavier than the PS4 controller, but lighter than the Xbone controller. More battery capacity.
That's an important thing.
And Mark Carney, here's a quote from him.
please pronounce it Cerny. The way his parents
I think he's doing this out of spite.
He is, but it's still very frustrating.
Good.
It's like Shigeru Miyamoto. Like, it's just...
Shigeru Miyamoto?
It's just like, how do you... He's like a legend. And
Which
you're
is
just like,
funny because all of the Japanese
You
names
sound like my
I
mom
pronounce
calling
so
it like a
well.
PlayStation, like calling my PlayStation a Nintendo or something.
Or like my coworker saying, "Oh, did you go and see the Star Wars?"
Yeah.
The Star Wars.
So here's a quote from Mark Cerny. Highly programmable voice coil actuators located in the left and right grips of the controller. I am not entirely sure what that means.
I don't
Say
know
that one
for
more
sure
time?
either, but I mean, it's going to be kind of like the Switch. If you've ever played 1-2 Switch, where like you can actually tell how many marbles are in it. So I think it's going to be like that, where
Highly
it's much more
programmable voice coil actuators located in the left and right grips of the controller.
high def rumble, basically.
Astrobot, as an example, will feature more realistic haptic feedback from the vibrations, such as you'll be able to like kind of feel the surfaces that you're running across.
The guy that did the article, I guess, got to play like a few missions of Astrobot with this new new controller with the new control system, which just has me super excited, not just about the controller, but about Astrobot, which was my favorite game of last year.
Which they have to be making a sequel
Yes,
for.
I'm so
They
excited.
definitely will.
Also, the article went on to list things that we already knew, but just to kind of refresh everybody, this console will have physical games. It will have a solid-state drive, PSVR compatible, PS4 backwards capability. This I don't really know what this is. Supports 3D audio? I don't know what that is. And we'll have 8K support, and they will also be able to play 4K optical discs finally. It's going to have ray tracing built into the GPU. And there's going to be this thing where you can customize your game installs, where if you want to install just the campaign and not the multiplayer, or vice versa,
Which is nice.
Stuff like that.
Like, which I didn't think, I couldn't imagine there'd be a lot of use cases where that would really help you that much. But then I realized in the article they kind of explain where you can also, once you beat the single player, you can kind of delete it and just have the multiplayer. So there's a lot of games where I think a lot of people play this
Call
way,
of
where
Duty.
they'll be like, all right, I'm going to play the campaign first, and then I'm just going to play multiplayer for a long time. But like the campaign will take up half of the space of the game, so you can play it and then just get rid of it, and then your multiplayer takes up half or a third of the space, which is kind of a nice touch.
They also mentioned something about being able to customize the UI. So if you just want to like jump right into the multiplayer, you can just like kind of click. I don't know. We don't know what the UI is going to look like, but say you had I don't know. What's a game that has both? Like Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
So you have a Call of Duty icon. You could just click in to go directly to the multiplayer, and you're just like queued up.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
that's
can like
smart.
join your friends really quickly and stuff. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess would be nice. There's not a lot of times where that would be really saving a ton of time, but
So
to see.
I
I
mean,
think
the loading
this
times
is
is the important.
gonna be
like,
cool.
hopefully, like putting the disc in and getting the update is faster. That's what I'm hoping for. Did I read something about 100 gigabyte discs?
Yes.
yes.
So the
So
PS4,
that's pretty
the
nice.
discs they're using.
So the PS4, I believe, are like 50, so it's going to be a lot more space.
Good.
Plus-
That's neat.
I don't know if this was the exact article, but I was reading up on it, and I guess with the discs that they have now, because it's an optical drive, it has to like read it. They'll actually multiply how much of like the same data is in there up to like 400 times. So you'll have to put a lot more of the same information in there, because it's like it has to find it on the disk when it's like rotating. But because it's like on a solid state drive, they won't have to do that anymore. So that'll save like hopefully a lot of space on. They'll be able to make these without having to put the same information in 400 times.
I don't even really know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means either.
I don't think I'm explaining it well, but Mark Cerny explained it pretty well. Where like they have to kind of double up, triple up, and like multiple times put the same information, because it's more about just the PS4 being able to, or whatever system being able to read the information faster. But because it's like rotating on the disk, you're like it's just trying to find it, so it takes a lot longer. So they just added like the same thing a bunch of times so that it can find it quicker.
So would this help the downloading or the frame rate? What would
The
this?
download size, because
Oh,
they
okay,
wouldn't have to
alright.
put as much information, because they wouldn't have to double up, triple up,
Oh, okay.
400
alright.
times up
Okay, that makes
the
sense.
information.
I assume you still have to keep the disc in the system while you play, even if it's installing directly onto the system.
I would imagine so, but
I mean, it's probably to stop someone
Pirating.
you or I from buying one
You
disc and
share,
like
yeah.
installing it on like 5 PS5s. So I kind of laughed when I read the stuff about the controller, because they said they put a bigger battery in there. I feel like it would make more sense just to take a lot of the bullshit off of the controller that drains the battery so much. Like
Like the light?
the light's neat. It does some neat things. I don't need it on the controller. They didn't mention anything
good
about
for
having a
advertising.
microphone on the controller, so I don't know if they're going to have like sound still coming out of it. The haptic feedback seems neat.
The sound is neat, though, because for certain games it works.
You get the phone call on the controller.
Yeah,
and
that
stuff
kind of
like
neat.
that.
Or like the BBs in Death
said it
Stranding
was-
is going to come through the speaker. That's
They said
going to
it
be
looked-
fun.
He said it looked a lot like the PS4 controller, but I don't think they said anything about the touchpad. Like, I'm assuming it's still on there, which is kind of
I just hope they utilize it.
dumb.
I think I talked about this last time, but I was so excited for when they put that on there. I was like, oh, you're going to be able to maybe
Yeah,
like
you were
swipe to
talking about
reload
that
or
last week.
swipe up and get rid of the magazine or something. And then they never really use
See-
it. But I understand, because I think we talked about it last year or something, where a lot of games were trying to make like a mobile version of like the game that you can like, it's basically like a buddy, like a companion app, I think it's called, for certain games. And they're like, because they were starting to have a lot of games with second screens. The 3DS had it, and then they were, and what's it called, the Wii U had it as well, like the dual screen. And then a lot of them, I think Battlefield at one point had something where one person used like the app, and they were like the helicopter, and they would choose where to bomb, on the phone. But you could play with the online people from the PlayStation 4. And
So what, do you think they're going to put a screen onto the PS4 or 5 controller?
No, what I was saying is I don't think they didn't utilize it well, but I think it's because you get a third-party developer, they don't want to do extra work for each individual system. Like, all right, great, for the Xbox, we have to do this because they have the Kinect, and then for the PlayStation, they have a touchpad, so we have to figure out something for that. Like, obviously, Death Stranding is, a PlayStation exclusive, so it's like, you know what, we can have some fun. We can, again, make the BB come from the sound of the controller. You know, I'm sure they can do something with...
Because then you're just adding a bunch of stuff in for specifically one console that really isn't, like, useful. And there's been some games that have used the touchpad in interesting ways, but I still don't do it.
Like, yeah, which is why they're going to have to put it on the new controller, because it's going to be backwards compatible, so you're going to need it there to be able to play all these old games.
I didn't even think about that.
Well, yeah, but they did come out and say that not all games are compatible.
I feel like most games just use it as a button anyways, so you can just like remap that to a different button.
So yeah, you could. I mean, there's some that it might be a little harder, like Days Gone.
Astrobot, you actually like
use it's definitely Astrobot.
So, but it says PlayStation 5 backwards compatibility does not currently cover all games. So that's one article that came out recently.
So that's kind of like what Xbox did, where they were just taking their most popular titles and making those backwards compatible on the Xbone.
I didn't read the whole thing, but I would assume that's a little bit concerning.
Most PS4 games would work on it, but maybe there's just some weird use cases where they can't.
Well, that's why I'm thinking
due to licenses or.
Sorry, Dan. MLB 16 might not work. MLB 18 and 19 may.
Yeah, I know. I also wonder if they'll be able to transfer like your PlayStation Plus games over. I would assume that would be pretty simple that they could do. Yeah. But I don't know. That made me a little nervous about the PlayStation 5. It says backwards compatibility, but not with everything. So I don't want it to be like Xbox, where it's like, all right, this month these two, next month these two.
I would imagine it would be kind of everything you would want, but maybe there's just some licensing deals, or maybe there's some sort of like random use cases where they use some sort of, like we were saying with the touch, like Astrobot with the touchpad, although I don't think that's going to be an issue. Like maybe there's something else that we're not thinking of that needs some weird PS4 only thing.
Yeah, but
I guess people, I don't know if you've seen the quote unquote leaked design for the system.
Yeah, was that that was like the one that they give to the developers, right? It's not the actual like system itself. It's like
Is that really what it is?
Oh, I don't know. I thought
that was a while ago.
Oh, really? How long ago was that?
That was months ago that came out, and I remember PlayStation was pretty pissed when that got...
Oh, yeah, like an insider just confirmed that this leaked PS5 design is real, but yeah, like... It could
but it's not the actual system.
Yeah, it's just a developer kit. Yeah. So I mean, usually it's ugly, and then they make it like, all right, let's make it...
Whoa, I think this looks really cool.
Oh, I think it's hideous.
Really?
Yeah, I think it looks...
It looks like... Can I see it again? It just...
Well, I just thought it looked different. I'm tired of it just being a black
I love my
box.
boxes.
I want something a little neat. I got to be honest.
Well, it's got to be able to kind of like be, in the background. I think they want it to be in everyone's living room and not like be too
I don't know.
gaudy.
It looks like something out of like a sci-fi game. I thought it looks really cool.
Complete. Just see if they put that top part. I don't get that little gap there. I don't know. At the top, it's I don't know.
From an aesthetic viewpoint, it was pleasing, but I can understand why maybe it doesn't look as nice next to all of your like sleek.
It looks like
six-sided plastic squares that you have for everything.
It looks like if a third party were to make like how they make a controller
brand
and then
system.
Like the Mad Catz version of like the PlayStation 5. It just looks like they got too many blinky lights going on. Like
I mean, PlayStation has never been known for making their designs like that outlandish. Like the PS1, PS2 were very conservative. PS3 was very ugly. And
yes.
Then the PS4 was just a box. There hasn't been a very unique design for a system in quite a while. Even like the Wii U was like really just like. I guess the last neat one we had was maybe the GameCube.
But I have
the original Xbox too. That was I like that. That was a really neat design for a system.
Yes, I mean whatever it looks like, I don't care. I care about function more than fashion. So if it works. Whatever it ends up being in my little TV tower. So once it's in there, I don't care. I just need it to work. So at that point, I guess whatever. As long as it functions. But I don't think it can look. Does that even have a disc tray on it?
I mean, it's a developer kit, so I don't know how
Yeah,
it works, but
it's
I don't think it really.
obviously,
It's not even worth like it's.
So that's
it's
not-
probably not going to
yeah.
look like that at all.
It's hard to tell.
Because it would be interesting to go through the developer kit versions and then what it looked like now.
Yeah, I remember hearing a interview from Mark Cerny after the PS4 launched, and he actually found out what it looked like with everyone else. He didn't know what it looked like when they were unveiling it. Like that's how
pretty cool.
late they do it, because like they have to kind of figure out all this everything else before they kind of figure out what they can actually fit that in to run. It's kind of interesting the timing on this too. So they said in the article that developers are just recently getting hands on this new controller, which makes me kind of think, oh, that's kind of a bummer, because a lot of maybe the first year games won't really use the kind of pressure
Haptic feedback
the
stuff, yeah.
feedback as
I mean,
much.
we're getting new PS4 games now that don't use the touchpad. So
Yeah, and then it seems like a smart tactic to kind of get ahead of all the leaks, though. Like every time we're learning about the PlayStation, we're never going, oh, well, we already knew that, or oh, that's kind of old hat or old news. And it seems like every time we hear something about the new Xbox, it's like, oh, but PS5's already doing that. So it's like I think it's kind of smart that they're kind of leaking this ahead of leaks and getting it ahead of like Xbox announcements, so Xbox can only really go on E3 and be like, yeah, we're also doing that too.
I guess this was the developer kit for the PS4. It's kind of silly to bring this up on an audio podcast, but if anybody's listening to this, look up the leaked PS5 design so you know what we're talking about. And look up if you type in PS4 developer kit on Google Images, this will come up. This looks hideous. So
Yeah,
I'm glad we didn't get that. Dan can't see. So that looks kind of hideous.
I mean, obviously, yeah, I'm sure they're much more expensive. They're probably
Looks like the
beefier
Xbox
hardware.
One.
A lot of stuff
Got
we
its
don't need in them.
infancy. Just big and bulky.
It's just kind of there. See, that's not sexy. See, I thought this PS5 dev kit just looked sexy. I liked it.
I don't know, man.
I mean, it looks fun.
And like, I don't need all of the bells and whistles that are coming with this. Like, the haptic, I'm like the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback, and
I'm excited about the loading.
like, I'm excited about the loading. I'm excited about the backwards compatibility. I'm excited about what games they're going to bring to the console.
Yeah, I'm excited that like
everything else is just like an extra.
I feel like all the early systems, it was like, all right, how can we get better graphics? Like they were so obsessed with the N64 was literally called the 64 for the 64 bits. It's like, and there were some big changes, but then the change from the the SNES to the N64 was huge, and then to the GameCube was huge, and then like the PS2 to the PS3 was a little bit less than the other ones, and then the PS3 to the PS4 it was all about it was more about online and kind of the kind of ecosystem that they were creating. And I feel like now they're able to really branch out and try new things, because it's like it's going to look nicer, but we already have fully rendered 3D worlds, so it's not like they're kind of going to do something completely different.
Well,
except maybe in VR, that's where they can go into.
I feel like the frame rate is the big one this time around. They want things with consistent frame rate, and I mean, a lot of people, whenever a game comes out, they're always saying like, oh, it's only running at 30 FPS, like locked or whatever, and a lot of people get frustrated, like, oh, you can get that on the PC. So I'm hoping that most games that they'll be able to pump out 60 frames per second, 1080, 4K, whatever.
Yeah, I never really cared too much about frame rates, but
me
I
either,
feel
really.
like every game that has like the performance or the graphics slider, I always go to performance, because I
usually do too, just to be safe. But
yeah, I just feel like, and I'm wondering now with the next one is that they won't even need that, because they'll be able to function with both.
Well, I do that simply because every time I go to graphics, the system chugs. It's like, why even bother? Like Borderlands was doing that. They had that option. I'm like, oh, I'll put it to graphics so everything looks nice. Oh God, this is only working half the time. Matt,
Andy,
you brought this up in our little Discord. I didn't know if maybe this was something you wanted to talk about. Something about Blizzard Hong Kong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to talk about it that much, but it's just so big. I feel like we have to just at least mention it.
It's big enough that I don't know about it.
Okay. Well,
So
it's
explain
all
it to
about
me.
it's all on the Reddits and stuff. So this Hearthstone pro Hearthstone player was doing an interview somewhere, and he kind of showed his support for Hong Kong and their protests against the Chinese government, which seems reasonable. Whatever your politics are, I don't really care. But then Blizzard responded by firing him, taking all of his money away, and also firing the two casters that were interviewing him at the time. And it just seems like kind of an insane response to someone's just right to speak. Like, even if you didn't agree with him on that, which I think most people are in agreement that the democracy is fine, better than like an oppressive regime. But it's kind of weird that they took that and just kind of bowed down to China, because I'm assuming they're just afraid of losing kind of all the money that China has, and the fact that they're actually partly owned by Tencent Games, which is a huge they're a huge shareholder in Blizzard.
Are they the ones
yeah.
who were going to be making that Diablo phone game or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what was Blizzard's reasoning behind it? Did they actually give a reason?
Political correctness.
Yeah, they didn't really give a good reason. Like, I think I didn't read their response or anything, but I think it was just anything that like looks. They have a clause in his contract that's like anything that looks bad. We can kind of revoke all of your winnings and fire you at any time. So they didn't really give a good reason. Like, I think even the people that work at Blizzard are kind of pissed. Like, there's signs outside of Blizzard that say like, listen to all voices, and they've like taped them up and stuff and kind of like protest. So there's been a lot of backlash. You can go onto like the Blizzard subreddit, and there's like a lot of pictures of like them uninstalling their games and canceling their subscriptions and stuff. But I don't know how much that's going to actually. I don't always like to
use this as a scapegoat, but I feel like pre-Activision owning Blizzard, this probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. It seems like their whole
but
work atmosphere doesn't seem as good as it was maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
I mean, you have developers like Bungie just like begging to split up from them. So I mean, they haven't really done anything impressive as of late. But yeah, that sucks. Hope he can get his money back, I guess. I don't really have like a strong opinion of it either way.
It's kind of a tough clause to throw at the end, like, oh, and by the way, if we find something sort of objective, we're just going to take all your money.
It just seems weird because like in the US at least, there's so many like athletes that are political on one side or the other, and no one really blames the NBA or the any of them for like that particular person's what they're saying on Twitter or anything. So it's just strange that they completely ban this person from playing for just saying what their opinion was.
Yeah, that is. I mean,
well, no, advertisers do that though. Like they'll pull out of deals and stuff like that. I don't know what back end CEO billionaire BS they had going on in the back end where someone somewhere is like, you gotta squash this, but I'm assuming something was said somewhere to them. But still, it's like, I don't know, stand your ground for the gamers that you're
it's strange.
supposed to be supporting, But
oh well. Do you guys want to talk about Doom being delayed? Is there anything to say about that other than that?
Yeah, Doom was going to come out next month, and then it
it
got
was
delayed till March.
Month, and now they really pushed it.
Doom Eternal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything from Bethesda that's coming out besides that.
Which is kind of a bummer because from like outside of Death Stranding, I wasn't looking to too much else in that time period, and now like it's coming out the same month as Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is not.
Around
Cyberpunk, Watch Dogs 3, and
Animal Crossing.
It's just like not a good time.
Yeah, but the good news is it's a pretty linear experience.
It's the same day as Animal Crossing, if I'm correct.
It's a pretty linear.
This is going to be rough for Andy specifically.
But it's only like a 15-hour campaign. If that's something you just play it, you beat it.
Assume.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every Doom around there has been typically, a 10.
Yeah, but that's not how I operate. I don't just put every little thing aside to like barrel through a 15-hour campaign. I'm going to be like trying to like switch off between all of these different games. It's going to be rough. I mean, Animal Crossing I'm fine with. Animal Crossing is just do like 5 minutes here or there when you're bored. That's not that big of a deal, but like Final Fantasy VII and Cyberpunk are both going to be these like very long, huge games. I'm gonna, I guess, try to play as much of Final Fantasy VII as I can before Cyberpunk comes out.
Yeah, but the question is, did they say that Final Fantasy is actually going to be like a full-fledged, like it's going to feel like a...
Yeah.
That's what they're claiming, that it's going to be a 40-plus hour game in Midgar. Yeah, it's my big concern. Is there any
part in the game that they could perfectly end it and be like, boom, that's it? Or do you think they'll change maybe the story a little bit?
They'll have to change stuff a little, because, I mean, they're adding a bunch just to...
Matt and I went over this one of the podcasts that you weren't here for, where they released a new trailer, and you could already see in the trailer that there was a new character that you've never seen before. Like they're definitely like stretching out Midgar into a full 40-hour game.
Hopefully. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean,
I'm excited.
It's cool if it works.
Final Fantasy VII.
See, that's why I was nervous, because I feel like when you fuck with a game that is as beloved as Final Fantasy VII. I mean, there's already some backlash about like how it's not turn-based, which they need to. I feel like those fans kind of need to calm down because there's a mode now where you can slow it down and almost turn it into turn based. So it's like they have tried to accompany you as well.
Want it to be good. Like I knew they were going to be changing stuff, which I was fine with as long as you're simply taking what was and expanding upon it.
Yeah. So
I just want them to finish it. I don't trust that we're going to get every episode and actually finish this. Whatever it is.
Really? I feel like this is a moneymaker at this point. Like it would be stupid for them not.
It is, but I mean, it's been a possible moneymaker for 20 years, and they've been kind of dragging their feet in. It's been 5 years almost since they announced it. But I feel like this is the first one that they've this is it. They got it out.
They have not spelled out their roadmap.
Yeah, that's what's concerning me. Like, how many games is this going to be? 3 or 10?
Look how long it took them to make Kingdom Hearts 3. It does worry me a little. I can understand where Matt's coming from on this because they're not very good.
I just want them to be like, okay, it's going to be 3 games. There's going to be Midgar, the first continent, and then the second 2 continents, or something like. It's not.
Who knows? They could go in a completely.
I think we've had this conversation before, but we don't
many times.
Midgar's 5% of the game. You're going to give me 20. Is it going to be 20 games?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be like 3? And Midgar's for some reason a lot bigger than the rest of the game.
Have they said how many exactly?
No.
I feel like it would be 2 games.
They've been kind of almost misleading in that they're not even putting like this is part 1. They're just calling it Final Fantasy VII Remake. But if you like.
That I think is the weirdest thing is that they've made it pretty clear that this is just episode 1, and yet they won't put that in the title anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just listed as Final Fantasy VII Remake. Are they going to call the next one Final Fantasy Remake Part 2?
Probably.
Part 2. So, that concerns me. That they haven't really acknowledged on any of the packaging or given us a roadmap or said.
I feel like it's like
what's going to happen.
When you're writing in high school or something and you run out of room and you're just writing the word and it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller because you're trying to fit this long word that you don't realize you have no space for anymore. I feel like that's what they're doing. Where they have this game and they have this big, nice, long game, and then they're like, oh my god, we have one more game to finish all this stuff, and we just got to just jam it all in there before the end of the margin.
I honestly think what happened is they made Midgar too big and too expansive to the point where they had to make that part of the game its own game
to make money.
But then,
So, because it's probably cost them so much money to make that, so they're like, "Hey guys, we can't keep this model up because it's going to take us 5 years to make the next one, and we need to make money in between." I know Metal Gear Solid. What was it? Not Peace Walker. What was remember the demo? It was the demo that came out, and it was basically Ground Zero. That's it. Metal Gear Solid 5
Yes.
Ground Zero. Okay. It was literally, they charged $30 for it, and it came out a year and a half.
Oh, yeah!
So, and it was a huge, one single base, but I think they were probably telling, and I think that was probably the first sign of Konami and Kojima kind of getting hey, we understand that you want to make a game, but we got to make money. So, hey, put this out as a little teaser for $30. That way we get a little bit of money now so that you can put towards Metal Gear Solid 5. And of course, that didn't even get finished.
I'm sure that
probably took that out of the oven.
I'm sure that probably had something to do with it. Their ambitions got too big and they're like, oh, why don't we just release it as multiple.
Well, that's why I'm excited
games.
Well, at least with Death Stranding, I'm hoping that they just kind of gave them a blank check and they're like, hey, let's push some advertising,
Yeah, this game is coming out surprisingly quicker than I thought it would, though.
3.5 years, I think it is. But he also had the differences, I guess, that he already has an engine. So he's been working with the Horizon Zero Dawn engine. So he didn't have to build one from scratch like he did with the Fox engine or whatever the hell it was. Which is kind of, I also heard something that he doesn't even have access to that. So he built that whole thing and pretty much handed it to him.
Konami owns all the licensing and everything.
That's got to be so frustrating. But I can tell he totally took or added some things from, or to the, I guess it's called the Decima engine or something. And it looks exactly like the Metal Gear Solid. It's like, oh my god, this looks identical to the Metal Gear Solid thing. But, getting sidetracked here. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
We started this with Doom is getting
I don't know why
delayed.
we're talking about
That's true.
Fantasy
There really
again.
wasn't anything to talk about.
Can I add?
Let the flow go.
Can I add one thing to that?
To Doom?
No, to the Death Stranding thing.
Sure. I guess we're talking about Death Stranding.
Really quick, and then we can get out of it. I was very excited to see that they already have a review embargo date released, and it's a week ahead of.
Ooh, that's a good sign.
That is something that feels really good and confident.
That doesn't surprise me, though, because look at the track record of the PS4 exclusives.
But
Yeah,
also,
but days
I don't want to hear anything about this game the week before it comes
No,
out.
I don't wanna
I
hear
want to
it.
walk into it like, what the heck is this?
I am
You
literally.
could read every one of those reviews and still not know what's going on.
Maybe.
I don't. No. I feel like that's gonna be. I'm gonna for this game. I'm gonna look at the score and nothing else. I don't want anything spoiled about.
You guys must have like really loose thumbs or something. Like I feel like I never see any spoilers for video games. The only spoilers I get are from
Well, not really
YouTube.
spoilers,
Oh my
but
God,
like
everything
if
was spoiled for me.
It wouldn't be
Fallout.
necessarily a spoiler, but like just telling me what this game is a spoiler. Like
why I
that.
don't
That's
read-
what you would find in a review, and I don't want to know what this game is.
That's why I don't read the reviews.
Like I don't even know what the goal is.
know what the
you're
goal
walking.
is?
I know you're walking to the West Coast. Like it's very vague what you're supposed
if
to
you
do.
watch, like, there's so many trailers that have been released. I know what the story is, and that's the story has me excited. The only thing that I feared is just it being No Man's Sky, where it's just empty. That's it. And
Guess
then
we'll
the
find out
more
next
he's
month.
shown me,
The title of that game was correct. There was no men
no
in the sky.
Well, and now it's the opposite. Now it's like multiplayer in the sky because now everyone, can
Every
play
man in the
multiplayer.
sky.
But hey, I got to give kudos to Hello Games for putting that much effort into a game, not charging anything. But again, going back to Andy, you're getting. I know I ask you every week, but you're getting like buying Death Stranding, or you rent it.
I don't know. Every time I say I'm buying it, you make me feel like I'm making a poor life decision.
No. I'm just like
Well, last week it was. I don't know if you're gonna like it. You might want to rent it, and now it's.
no. I just. I'm
Just let me be in the happening.
No,
Dan.
go ahead. I want you to be in. It helps. I mean, your input is gonna make. You're gonna get likes.
Here's
You're gonna
the
get
reason.
likes.
Here's the thing about Death Stranding. I'm gonna know pretty instantly whether or not I like it or not, and then if I don't like it, I'll just sell it immediately because I don't want to wait for GameFly to send it to me because it's gonna be
You're gonna Samarco it.
it's gonna be way too
Just
popular.
Ship it right out.
You know.
Comes out on a 3-day weekend, which is
I'm actually gonna be.
I got a friggin' wedding that weekend.
Oh, which is that? Memorial
Day?
Veterans Day. I can't keep.
It comes
track
out on the
of all.
8th, and the Veterans Day is that next
Is that
month.
early November?
Yeah, it's
November
coming out. It's coming out in less than a month.
Oh,
So that
jeez.
7th, it'll be.
I gotta finish Borderlands before then because I'm actually canceling my GameFly subscription because.
It's funny. I just resubbed yesterday.
Really?
You're
Why?
canceling?
I don't know those.
Is there a
I
bunch
don't
of
know
games
if-
coming out you want to
I
read?
sort of regret resubbing, but I wanted to. I have like Blood and Truth that I wanted to play, and
Oh yes,
the
you'll have to
new
tell me how that is.
the Legend of Zelda game, and like a few others like the Wolfenstein games I wanted to catch up on.
Why did you
so.
cancel?
Well, I'm going to because I'm gonna try out, maybe finish Control. We'll see how it goes, depending on which side I'm on here. Feel like I need to pick which parent to live with after the divorce. So there's that, and then I guess.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, going back to.
I guess I was
okay.
interested in Luigi's Mansion 3. That was the other game I was going to rent. But after that, there's this like lull where there's really no new games coming out that I was going to rent. So I figured why, during that lull of really no huge games coming out, why don't I just concentrate on the games I have, concentrate on the Zelda series that I'm doing and stuff like that? Because I have Link's Awakening on its way to me. I'm going to have that in like a week. And then
But you can't play that.
Outer Worlds comes out at the end of the month. Call of Duty comes out at the end of the month. And then Death Stranding. It's a
Are you
lot.
gonna buy all those games? You're gonna buy Outer World and Call of Duty?
Outer World and Call of Duty I'm both buying.
I actually might hold. I've been like not. I've been kind of.
Swear
a lot
to God
more
if you
picky.
say you're not buying Call of Duty.
No.
Swear to God.
Call
Dan.
of Duty is a definite. It's Outer Worlds that I'm wondering if I'll pick it up later.
Like,
just
oh,
because-
like wait in case you think you're not going to have enough time.
Yeah.
Me, I wanted to buy
Even though
just.
it does look, it literally looks like a Fallout Borderlands.
Well, I
like,
just
mix.
wanted to make sure to support the developer. I think if it ends up being a really good game,
I know, but I really is my $60 really gonna make that much of a difference?
I don't know.
And I understand. I know.
I mean,
should do the same
Dan,
thing.
you, it's never stopped you before from buying a game that you're not going to play right away.
No, but I
Have
have.
I changed your entire viewpoint on buying video games that much?
I mean, I just realized I've kind of looked at my, especially now it's the end of the PlayStation 4. Like, now we know that the PlayStation 5 coming out. So it's like, and looking back at my PlayStation 3 games, it's like, I don't think I've gone back to play any of the ones I haven't. If I've gone back, it's to play something that I've already played.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting to look like, am I really going to play this? So like, look at all the games that I haven't picked up. I didn't pick up Code Vein. Ghost Recon, I pre-ordered it before I found out that it was going to be multiplayer. But, down at the bottom, like, I'm not going to get Luigi's Mansion 3, I don't think. I'm going to hold off on that.
I mean, I could see myself holding. Oh, Star Wars. That was the other one that I was gonna probably rent from GameFly, but I might just not. I'll get it some other time or play it some other time.
If you get it like a month after that, it's gonna be good because it's a campaign.
I just want to concentrate on my backlog for a little while.
Yeah,
That's
no,
all.
I don't blame it. But I figured there's a lot like medieval. I'm not gonna get.
So Doom Eternal was delayed. That was how we started that.
3/20/2020 it says.
Okay.
So it's the new release date.
Oh, for Final Fantasy.
Yep. Actually, no, you got a little bit of time. You got 3 weeks between Final Fantasy VII and Cyberpunk. Oh, but you have you said Animal Crossing that day.
And Doom Eternal. It's a lot going on. That's going to be a heavy spring. Anyways, moving on to our discussion topic for today, brought to you by Andy. I almost actually changed this discussion topic on the fly this morning, but I felt like that wasn't enough time. So I asked you guys to think about, out of all the games you played, what are maybe some of the most unique, difficult, or hardest puzzles you've ever had to accomplish in a video game? Maybe ones that made you really think outside of the box. And this came from the idea of this discussion topic came from me playing Zelda the Minish Cap. I don't really find Minish Cap to be an overly hard game, but I also can't ever tell. Like kind of like Dan, kind of like you with Control, kind of like you from playing Alan Wake, you were kind of just used to what the developer was looking for. So I don't know if maybe that's why I can just kind of know certain things, because it's certainly not because I remember how to play the game. I beat the game back in like 2007. I don't remember anything about it, So there was this one. You're going around collecting the the collectible of the game. And I'm collecting the elements. I think I need to find the wind element. And the next thing I need to do, there was this saying. It's like, you must stop the flow. That's the only thing it gave me, was you must stop the flow. And it's like, all right, well, they must be talking about water. There's a river on the map somewhere. Maybe I can try to make it to the top of the waterfall. And sure enough, that was the solution. But it's like, that did have to make me think outside of the box. It's not that I was given no hints, no clues, just that one saying, and I had to kind of figure it out from there. So there's been a lot of games I've played where they've done interesting puzzles like that. So I'm
curious. Did you have to put a rock in the river to stop the water from going?
No, I ended up going to this cloud city to get the next element that I needed to stop the evil body from ruling the world.
Interesting.
So I'm interested to see what you guys bring to the table.
I'm wondering if we're gonna have the same one.
I have a very I'm trying to think back of like all the puzzles that I've been like frustrated at or like impressed by, and the one that always comes to mind is this really annoying one that is super obnoxious. That is from Silent Hill.
Damn it!
Is that the one you're?
2?
No, the first one.
Oh, okay. No, I'm gonna pick 2.
Okay, there's probably a good one in the second one.
I'm limiting the Silent Hill references to only one, so Dan's gonna have to come up with a completely different.
I'm fair with that.
No.
So yeah, the first game, there's a puzzle with zodiac signs and like numbers next to them. So they don't give you much to go on, and it turns out that the solution is so there'll be like you'll see like 2 fish represent Pisces, and there's a 0 next to it, and then there's like I don't know all of them, but there's like a crab, and there's like a 10 next to it, and there's like a minotaur with like a 4 next to it, and then there's like 3 there's like a bunch of others, I think, and you have to guess, you have to input a number, and they really don't give you much to go on except for those pictures, and the solution ends up being that the number represents literally how many limbs they have. So Pisces is 0 and the crab is 10. There's 10, 8 legs and 2 claws, which it took me forever to figure out. I think I just broke it by just guessing over and over until I got them by accident. I never figured out how to do it. But it kind of got me thinking about not just specific puzzles, but the puzzles that I enjoy the most. And I think it usually ends up being a game. Not that I enjoyed this particular puzzle, but it usually ends up being games that are in I would put it in 2 categories. One is games like The Witness, where games that make me have to get out a pen and paper or my phone to take pictures and really kind of figure it out. I really love when they're kind of scratch that itch. And then the other one is just any sort of puzzle games and survival horror games, because I think they really add a tension to it, because you feel you typically you can't just like, figure it out slowly and go back and forth. Like when you're going from the room you're trying to unlock to get the part, typically there's like a bunch of zombies and stuff. So the longer that it takes you to figure this puzzle out, the harder it's going to be. And it just kind of like adds this extra level of tension to just solving this like neat little puzzle that they threw in there. That's what I have to say. Dan, how about Silent Hill 2? I'm trying to think of a puzzle in Silent Hill 2 that was like, is it frustrating or like good?
It's a little bit of both.
There's a lot of puzzles in those games that are frustrating. And even just like navigating from like point A to B, it can be kind of confusing about where you're supposed to go. Like is it the key? Now I'm thinking of things. I'm like, there's a key early on that's very annoying to get the apartment key.
Yeah, that's just experience. Like that's just annoying. That's more like the bell.
Yeah.
It's just kind of annoying. It's not like, oh, it took skill to find this. It's on that like dead guy or whatever. In the hub. So the one that I was talking about, that I remember playing it and just my mind was like, what the hell? So there's this. It's the apartment complex. No, I'm sorry. I take it back. It's the hospital. So in the hospital...
Is it the elevator?
No. It is
Thinking of all these puzzles from Silent Hill.
So there's, like, throughout the hospital, there's this box, and it has, like, a ton of locks on it. And you're thinking, like, all right, when I get all these locks off this box, I'm going to open it, and I'm going to find, like, a key, and it's going to, take me to that next level. You finally get all the different locks. One of them, I think, is like a letter one. One of them is like a number. You finally get them all off. You open it.
So is this like stuff you figure out like puzzles, or is it stuff you have to find?
Each one is a puzzle. Like one guy's like nuts,
cool.
like, and he paints in blood like a certain number. You're like, oh, that's one of the keys to unlock one part of this box. So you finally get all the combos to unlock it all. You open it, and it's a piece of hair. A piece of hair.
I say I forget this probably because it was so
a single strand of hair, and your character's like, yeah, why not? I'll take it. The same character that also reaches into a toilet that's full of shit and goes, I have a hunch there's something underneath. So the guy's nuts. I mean, but anyway, so you grab the piece of hair and you're like, what the fuck do I do with this? And you're walking around. And you're like, what? You'd think it would be a clear cut and dry, like, it's a key, and it goes here, and I, unlock it and go to the next thing. Kind of, what Resident Evil does.
Yeah.
Resident Evil, I think, is more cut and dry. This is what it is. Silent Hill just likes you to be like, what the fuck? So come to find out, I guess at some point you find a hook, too. And I think this is the one and only item that you combined, like in Resident Evil, how you combine the green and red herb and put it together. They have a combined feature in this game, but you never use it except for this item. And what happens is in a bathroom, in one of the bathrooms, there's like a shower, and on the bottom of it, there's something green. And your character says, oh, there's something at the bottom of the shower. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to combine the piece of hair with the hook, and he reaches down and grabs it.
That sounds frustrating.
But it's such like a minor thing that you wouldn't think of, and then you do it, and you're like, what the... Because you have it in your inventory, and just like every Resident Evil game that you have... Yeah, I know I'm talking loud, Andy. I get the point.
I gave Dan emotion to bring down
excitement, and I mean, it makes me want to go back and play this game.
Well, it's really funny because I never see a twinkle in the two of your eyes more than when both of you talk to each other about Silent Hill 2.
It's so fun. Every time he started to talk, I'd be like, "Oh, is he talking about?" Because in the hospital, there's like a cool part where you're in an elevator and there's like a
mini
game show that goes on. So you're is
it like, number one?
There's this voice that just sounds like a game show from like the 70s, and he's just asking you these like weird questions, and you get like, I forget, you get some extra ammo or something or whatever.
What's behind door number one?
It literally is that in the hallway, and he's like, oh, and you're like, what the hell is this? And then he says your name, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? But I just recall like just being so frustrated because in those games you only have 6 compartments that you can carry, and I mean, not all the time will you think about what you put away. In Resident Evil, you had the ink ribbons. You're like, I don't need it right now. I need extra slots for ammo or health or whatever. And in Silent Hill, it was always like that. I need a weapon, I need a gun, and I need a piece of the puzzle, or I need a health item or something. So you'll forget about that piece, and you never think about, that hook. Like, I'm going to combine these, because you never combined anything in that game, I believe, off the top of my head, except for that one thing. and it just drove me nuts because just like he said, just like Matt said about Silent Hill, you're running around. You don't want to fight these things over again.
Yeah,
they
it's
come.
the worst.
I'm pretty sure some of them come back, and they're terrifying. Honestly,
That's the worst
hospital,
thing to be stuck
the
on a puzzle
hospital,
in a survival horror game.
The hospital, like I remember playing it with Amy in the background. She was like, "That music is terrifying," and I'm like, "I know, it makes me want to get out of here." And then just seeing the nurses and the awful noises that they make, like you can't see anything in that hallway too. It's like dreaded. And it's just, it makes you like kind of nervous. Like, oh, I got to go back. I don't want to go back. Do I really want to go back and look through my inventory when I think I could have the combo or I should have the combo? And that's where now, like, I'm taking pictures of like, I'm never going to forget this click.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, 612. I'm going to, I'm going to remember this. But, so that was one of the ones that immediately like stood out to me that when I did it, I was like, fuck yeah, like about time. But like that is so out of the ordinary. Why would anyone think of this?
Yeah.
But
honestly, I'm not going to go on and on and on for the 80th time about how much I love puzzles and games, but Matt mentioned The Witness.
Yeah.
And like there's different types of puzzle games. Like the Zelda games, I love the Zelda games, because it's like a combination of puzzles and action adventure. But there's definitely sometimes I'm playing Zelda games where I'm just kind of going through the motions. Like it's almost like it's too easy for me to figure out. And I'm not necessarily saying it's because they made it too easy. It might just be because I'm so used to how to play those types of games that I kind of know where I have to go and how I need to do it, even when it's not one I've really ever played before. But that's why I like things like The Witness, where suddenly it's just this like you have to there were some hard puzzles in that game that you had to figure out with very little direction on how to figure out, and every time you solved one, it was so satisfying. Like like in Zelda, you find a specific item in the dungeon, you know what it's gonna do. All right, I have to go back to this point and do that. In The Witness, like it would simply tell you if you were wrong or right when you were trying to do these puzzles. You were trying to like move these like light beams around these certain things. But I remember there was one that we had a group of like 5 or 6 people all staring at this puzzle, and none of us could figure out how to do it.
Figure it out, like writing stuff down, taking pictures. It was awesome.
That game.
I kind of want to play it again now that I'm thinking of it, because it's been a couple of years, so I probably wouldn't remember anything because it's so obscure, the puzzle solution.
But another game that came to my mind when I was thinking of interesting puzzles, so I was never really a fan of the original God of War trilogy, mostly because it was just a lot of like hack and slash. It was one of those games where it was fun to watch. So I was watching my friend Nate play on the PS2 back in the day, and he was having trouble with some of the puzzles on it. And I don't know what it was about the game, because I had just walked in on them playing this game, and I think it was this one area where like you killed this guy, and then there's like this little kind of moat going around the area, and he's like, "Why can't I get through there?" And I'm like, I was looking, I'm like, "Why don't you try throwing the body in the river and seeing if that like does something?" And he's like, "Well, it's never done anything before, but I can try." And sure enough, it like activated the puzzle. And it's just like I that's what I think of doing, though. I think of like using my environment. What can I do? Then the other half of the time it's just something stupid, like there was a button right in front of my face that I just didn't push, and I thought it was a hard puzzle. And
bell.
You just hit the or what?
Or a bell.
Or a bell. Or a doorbell that opens the doors. But like the more inventive the puzzles, the more satisfying it is in the end when you solve them. Like, I'm always telling video games, throw the hardest ones at me you can. Like, A Plague Tale didn't really have any hard puzzles.
No, I feel like they were, like, in terms of, like, Resident Evil, where, like, the old ones were difficult, and then the new ones, like, oh, I got a half moon and 2 moons, what do I do with it? And there's a whole piece, oh, I put them together and put it in. So they made it, like, all right, now you're catering towards, the really easy ones, where I used to love, like, I got a piece, I gotta store this, and I gotta think about it.
That's
like,
what I liked about Resident Evil 1. Like, each item you got in Resident Evil 1, you could, like, examine it and look at it. It's like, oh, there's a hole in the book. Oh, there's a key in the hole.
Yeah, and then you found it like, oh, all right. Because I remember, there was, like, some box that you had, and you had to click all the buttons. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this box. And I just put it away, and then I was like, you know what? I think there was a button with that box. But one thing I wanted to add as like fun puzzles, and actually it might be interesting with Death Stranding, is with Metal Gear and how he made like, the back of the box, and he actually made it so that you actually physically had to look at the back of the box to get that codec. And then again in Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, he had that whole idea where there's some, again, I didn't know it was something that I could stop, but it was that plague that basically happened.
Didn't you just let everybody die or something like
I
that?
didn't, well, knowing him and with his previous games, I thought, all right, there's probably nothing you can do. This is him kind of tormenting you. And again, if you know the story, Big Boss is supposed to go nuts. So it's like, all right, this would probably make him go nuts that he can't figure it out and makes everyone die. So that's what I was thinking. And then lo and behold, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but there's something you can do to stop it. And I didn't realize that until later. And I was like, oh, stupid me. I should have dove more into it. But I was also like, I just was obsessed with playing the game. So I was just like, yeah, fuck it. I'll figure it out later. I just want to do this next mission.
Yeah.
So, and I'm wondering in Death Stranding if he'll have something like that, because he just came out and told and said that some NPCs will die depending on your course of action. So I was like, oh boy.
That's stressful.
So I'm like, oh crap. Like, I don't even know half these characters, and I already feel connected to some of them. Like the Del Toro guy kind of seems like a goofy, like, scientist kind of guy. But he kind of seems very, like, focused.
Guillermo del Toro?
Yeah. Where he seems very focused on, like, the idea that the BBs are not to be cared for. They're not babies. They're equipment.
We're getting on another Death Stranding tale here.
Again, this game is, I've never had such weird feelings about a game, and I'm getting nervous about, because I don't want my hype to be so high and then plummet.
He's still talking about it. I mentioned it, and he's just keeps going.
Well,
Well, I was going to say, speaking of Metal Gear 1 had probably one of the best puzzles to ever happen in a video game.
Well, the back of the box.
No, the other one.
The unplug the controller.
Ports.
That's a mindfuck.
That is like, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. But like, how would you have known to do that though? Did they really give you a hit in the game that let you know?
Well,
you
the
were
game
think
comes
the kernel will
back. The
call
game
you.
comes back on, like it shuts off, and it's actually funny. It says Hideo instead of video. I thought that was kind of funny. And then it comes back, and then you start your controller gets kind of janky, and you can't really control your gun. Like if you want to go like up left, he'll kind of go like left up. It's
Eventually, the kernel will call you and say like, "Oh, it's the controller port. Put it in the
so
other
he
controller
says
port." If you
something
like.
So
like-
he gives you chances to figure it out on his own,
Yeah.
and eventually it's like, all right, they're not getting it.
Yeah.
And then in Metal
Well,
Gear,
who would think to do that?
no, you wouldn't.
I don't know.
You wouldn't.
I never figured out like the back of the box thing. I never figured out. I just had to. Luckily, there was only 200 choices, so I just started at the beginning and I just went through all of them. And I think it was the fifth. I think it's literally the 15th. It was very early on. I got lucky.
140.15,
Yeah,
Why the
140.15.
hell do I remember
Because
that?
there's only 140 to like 141 is
no.
all of them.
I'm gonna give credit to Metal Gear Awesome because they play that like 140.15. Okay, cool. But
The Ego Raptor.
yeah, those
video
are
show.
great. But I meant to say, like, he even does that. He's done that, I think, in the past. Like, I think every game, or at least Metal Gear game, he's done that. Metal Gear Solid 3, he did a little trick. Metal Gear Solid 4, he does that at the very end of the game. You can't beat it unless you figure this out, which I thought was pretty neat. And he even makes a fun of like the memory card at one point. And he also talks about, oh, you should go to disc 2, and you're like, there's no disc 2. So I thought that was kind of like breaking the fourth wall was pretty neat. But so there's got to be, now that I'm thinking about it, there's got to be something that is kind of fourth wall breaking puzzle that he might do in this game.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it's going to be more or less, because he did that also in Metal Gear Solid 5, where he did that thing where, everyone's got to work together to get rid of nukes. And I don't think any system, or because each system had their own thing, Xbox, PlayStation, and if you're able to, if everyone united and came together and was able to get rid of nukes, then a special cutscene would happen. And I'm wondering if he'll do that, considering this game is going to be social, like very social media driven, or multiplayer driven.
One last thing before we wrap this up. There was an interesting puzzle, an interesting issue with a puzzle, quote unquote, that you had in college when you were playing the original Assassin's Creed. So Dan was playing Assassin's Creed, and he got to the end game, and he kept like running into this area. And now he would fall through the game. And the game was, with the animus and everything like that.
It kind of seemed like it worked.
It kind of seemed like part of the game, but it kept happening. And then every time he would come back, there'd be two. Who was the guy from that first game? Not Ezio, the other one. Altair.
I'll tell you.
There'd be two Altairs, and he's like, am I supposed to attack him so he can attack him and damage himself? And he's like, I don't think this is supposed to be part of the game. I think it might be glitching. And I looked at his console. I'm like, Dan, why don't you try unplugging the
guitar from Guitar Hero
from your system? And sure enough, that was the reason it was glitching out.
See, you could have told me then that Guitar Hero's fucking up your life.
Guitar Hero sucks.
Yeah, knowing Hideo, you'll probably need a Guitar Hero controller to plug in to the PS4.
Knowing Hideo, maybe he made like full 100% use of that gamepad.
I haven't heard anything about the use of the gamepad. So I mean, like I said, the only thing that he said is that the speaker is gonna the baby is gonna come through the speaker if you want. But I mean, he's got to have a puzzle. You've beaten all the Metal Gears,
yeah.
right?
I'm sure there'll be some.
So there'll be
weird stuff.
some weird thing.
We'll find out in a month. We'll find out.
I know. I'm every video that comes out, I'm like analyzing it like crazy. I'm just like,
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
After the first couple, I was like, I don't understand what's going on. I'm just gonna play it. I don't really.
I feel like there's one trailer that it's the second to last one that he just put out that explains.
And they get longer too. It's like these 40-minute trailers of nothing.
Oh, see, I love putting the control. It's like a movie in a video game, so I absolutely love it.
All right, boys, where can people find you?
You can find me on Matt Talks Games on the Twitter. Wow, you're really just ripping that Band-Aid right off.
You're hungry, huh? You need to get out of here.
I have nothing more to say about Death Stranding.
I know, but
you're looking forward to it.
He's had it with the Death Stranding talk.
I have.
No more Death Stranding until Death Stranding comes out.
Ooh, I don't think Dane can do that.
No, I'm not doing that.
Oh,
that's unfair. If you guys got to talk about Apex for about 5 weeks when it's the same game over again except a new skin, I get to talk about Death Stranding.
They just released a new map with a train this week.
Yeah, but you're not playing it.
Third season? No, I'm not.
Neither am I.
Cool.
All right, where can people find you, boys?
He already said it.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay,
yeah.
Dan.
You can find me on Twitter at Game Review Guy.
And you can find me on Twitter at Highly and Andy, and you can also find the podcast at Manabar Podcast on Twitter or the Manabar Podcast on Instagram. And you can also email us at manabarpodcast@gmail.com for any of your questions, inquiries, or maybe suggesting a topic discussion for the episode.
You could reach out and talk about Death Stranding.
Just
with, Dan.
Send in a question about Death Stranding so we can hear Dan talk about it for 40 more minutes.
Oh, Christ. We're gonna get we're gonna get 17 emails from various spellings of Dan's name.
I'm actually I wonder if that's an achievement. Let's see how many news topics Dan can turn into Death Stranding by the end of it, because it seems like he did that with almost everyone today. It was pretty funny.
Hey, we just let it flow, all right? We just let it flow.
Yeah, flow right into.
It's only 4 more weeks, so he can only do that. Wait a minute. Times.
From one person that loves the happening, and one person that likes, you're trying to focus on newer games. This is the exciting topic. There's not many games that have this much hype around it that come out. I mean, Call of Duty is every year. I mean, Final Fantasy, that'll be probably the next biggest thing.
I'm definitely excited for it.
But I
understand you're excited for it. I don't need to hear you repeat that.
Yeah, but again, more news is coming out. And again, you guys talked about Apex for 5 weeks, and there's nothing new.
I think Dan really overblows how much we talked about Apex. I think we talked about it 5 minutes a week.
And it did change up. I feel like there was a lot of new stuff that we were learning.
There was nothing new in that game. It was the same battle. It's a battle royale mode. There's no story. There's no anything new. It's just an extra gun skin or weapon skin. Yeah, but that's
new gun mods. That's fun.
For what?
Remember when they added the hammer point to the handguns and made them a lot stronger?
Yeah, but that's again this is in the happen. This still hasn't even come out yet.
True.
So there's news.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not excited to talk about the game. I was just thought it was funny that you turned every news topic into Death Stranding by the end for absolutely no reason. We were talking about puzzles, and you're
worked.
I just want to talk about the Death Stranding trailer.
No, but I said how Metal Gear had the puzzle where it was fourth wall breaking, and then it made me think of, hey, fourth wall breaking puzzle, what about Death Stranding might have an interesting puzzle in it?
And with that, this is the Trophy Hunter, the Death Stranding talker,
all right, I'll accept that.
And the Bargain Bin Gamer logging off.